Joining us now is Ojy Okpe with special package and stories trending around the world. Hello, Ojy.
Good morning,
you start
Doctor.
with your special package.
Okay,
Yes.
Go ahead. Well, you read it.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, my goodness. He's directing me. Well, all right. Over the weeks, Nigerians witnessed an unprecedented turn of events after young people in the country took to the streets to protest against police brutality. However, the protests have been marred by incidents of destruction after hoodlums hijacked the peaceful process. Well, many have died and several injured in the wake of what is believed to be an emerging revolution in Africa's most populous nation. Well, for a recap of the events, let's take a look. A few days after the 60th anniversary of Nigeria's independence from British rule, the country's youth took to the streets to protest against police brutality, as well as demand for the reform of the police force, using the hashtag EndSARS on social media. The latest outcry, which has by far surpassed any before it, was triggered by multiple cases of high-handedness by the dreaded rogue police unit called the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, or SARS, as it were known. The protests, which have been concentrated in Nigeria's administrative capital, Abuja, and Lagos, her commercial capital, have gradually spread to all corners of the multi-ethnic country as frustrations over the harassment, extortion, and extrajudicial killings meted out by the despised police tactical unit overflowed. There have also been similar protests in the United Kingdom and the United States, while global celebrities like Celine Dion, Kanye West, Drake and Trey Songz joined Nigerian superstars Wizkid and Davido in denouncing SARS. For its numerous atrocities, SARS was disbanded by Nigeria's Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu.
The Special Anti-Robbery Squad of the Nigerian Police, otherwise known as SARS, is hereby dissolved across all formations, the 36 state police commands, and the Federal Capital Territory, where they currently exist.
Rather than discourage the protesters, the Inspector General's move further inflamed passions.
Protesters are still being detained.
Yes.
For simply exercising their fundamental human rights.
Yes. And the rights of the people.
So if you are really serious about police reform, if you're really serious, if SARS has really ended, then why are we still seeing these forms of police misconduct? Why are we still seeing these gross violations of our fundamental human rights?
How many people Sassy go kill? 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 Oh yeah! Kill us, kill us, kill us, how many people Sassy go kill?
The EndSARS now, what is paperwork fighting right here? We're not fighting anyone, just
Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari's attempt at dousing the tension by promising police reforms have been met by a scaling up of the protests, with a total lockdown of the country's major cities already underway.
Right here in closed city, we're letting our voices be heard. Loud, end police brutality. End it right now. As we do with Lagos.
The federal government directed the country's 36 governors to establish judicial panels to investigate alleged police brutality in their states, negotiate with protesters, and establish funds to compensate victims of SARS. In addition, Nigeria's Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo, in a series of tweets, apologized to Nigeria's youth for not doing enough. After being derided by its leaders as a docile generation, Nigeria's youth seem to have finally found their voice by demanding better governance, starting with police reforms.
Everybody louder! Sing along, sing along! Andy, you're gonna rest.
Our top story at this hour is our central story that is still developing and unfolding tonight. Sounds of gunfire have exploded on the streets in Nigeria's commercial capital, Lagos, as troops open fire on protesters there. There are reports of people killed and wounded as the Nigerian authorities move to end increasingly violent protests against police abuses. Riot police have been deployed across the country and a curfew has come into force in several states. We have special coverage tonight as Nigeria witnesses a major escalation after 2 weeks of protests against police brutality. But still, the protesters have remained on the streets.
Look at Lagos, ladies and gentlemen, look at over there. Look at Lagos is on fire. They blocked everywhere.
Despite video and pictorial evidence, the Nigerian army has denied opening fire and killing peaceful EndSARS protesters at the Lekki tollgate in the nation's commercial capital, Lagos. In the aftermath of the shooting, looting, jailbreaks, burning of public and private property was witnessed in several states across the country.
Everywhere is burning, everywhere is burning. Everywhere, fire everywhere. Look at, Corbett is burning, GTB is burning, look at.
With growing anxiety across the nation, state governors began imposing curfews, and Nigerians demanded answers from the President of the Federal Republic, Muhammadu Buhari.
As a democratic government, we listened to and carefully evaluated the 5-point demands of the protesters. And having accepted them, we immediately scrapped SARS and put measures in place to address the other demands of our youth. On approving the termination of SARS, I already made it clear that it was in line with our commitment to the implementation of extensive police reforms.
One day, President Muhammadu Buhari's national broadcast failed to address the shooting that has been blamed on the Nigerian army, leaving Nigerians with many more questions than answers.
The war is won. We will be sure. We will be sure. Oh, glory. Oh, glory. Yeah. Now the war is not over. Victory isn't won. And we'll fight on to the finish. Then when it's all done, we'll cry glory. Oh.
By demanding reforms and better governance, the Nigerian youth has shown its readiness to take up the mantle and lead Africa's largest economy into the prosperous future that its huge potential deserves. All right. Well, good morning to you, viewers. We begin What's Trending with reactions to a statement made by the national leader of the All Progressive Congress, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, over the weekend. On Sunday, the former governor of Lagos State denied having a hand in the shooting of peaceful protesters at the Lekki tollgate on Tuesday, October 20th. Tinubu alleged that he could have not deployed soldiers to quell the protests and failed to protect his investments, Television Continental and the Nation newspaper, both burnt down by hoodlums in the aftermath of the shootings. Reactions have also trailed his solidarity visit to the governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, where he defended the response of President Muhammadu Buhari on the character of peaceful protesters. Well, let's take a listen to what he said before we take some reaction.
To those who are hospitalized in the first place, and equally to ask him pointedly, did he order the attack? Or if he didn't order the attack, who ordered the attack? Was it to his knowledge that people were attacked? Those who suffer casualty during the gunshot need to answer some questions too. How are they there? How long were they there? What kind of characters are they? Even though we want to help, we see must extract information that we help the government to prepare in future or understand how and when to react.
That particular statement where he said what kind of character are the peaceful protesters was really outraged a lot of people on social media. I'll take a reaction from a user, One Nation, who wrote, "People say Buhari's speech has no empathy. Asiwaju Tinubu's speech shows how less of a leader he is and how unreasonable a leader he will be if given the opportunity to hold any public office again. It is time we youth understand that everything is not about the political class." Tundun.
I thought those comments were shocking. The comments that he made during that solidarity visit completely struck a jarring note as far as I'm concerned. There was no need to attempt in any way to criminalize the victims.
Yes.
That is like another assault all over again. It was totally unfortunate. However, I think he might be aware of that fact, which is why there was some attempt at redemption made on the back cover today of This Day, and there was an essay where he made a point, which I feel is kind of, well, logical. If he has this power to order soldiers, because he's addressing directly this most grave accusation that he ordered for protesters, peaceful protesters, to be shot. So he did the right thing to come out and vehemently deny it. That's not the kind of thing that you dismiss. It has to be addressed head on. And his argument is that this is the work of his political enemies and detractors and what have you, and that if he had the wherewithal to order such an attack, then he would also have been able to use those soldiers to protect TVC, and the Nation newspaper, which we also went up in flames. That argument might convince some people.
Dr. Abati.
Yeah, when Efeni was doing the newspaper headlines, I already offered a very lengthy review of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu's statements, both at the Lagos State Government House when he visited the governor of Lagos State, and also this morning on the back page of This Day newspaper, continuing on page 45, where he provided an essay. And for those persons who feel that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu was cocky or arrogant when he visited the governor during the weekend, I think it's better to refer them to the essay that he has written, in which he lays out his position with regard to what has transpired in Lagos. One, he defends himself. He says he's not in a position to command the military to go and shoot anybody at Lekki tollgate. And clearly, that is understandable. The military in Nigeria, they report only to the commander-in-chief and their own hierarchy of command. Two, he makes it clear that he was accused of originally supporting the protesters, but that is not true. Three, he points out that, look, it is within the right of Nigerian youth or anybody at all to protest. He himself, having been part of the June 12 protest, there is no way he can oppose a protest within the country, either by young people or by older people. 4, he argues, and I think in that sense, convincingly, that look, there must be restitution for people who have suffered. The demands of the young people should be listened to, and that there are issues that have come up. One central point, according to him, is about police reform. The need to build the police into an effective, progressive institution. But he qualified that by asking for state police. And he has been very consistent in that regard. And many commentators have talked about state police, the power of state governments to protect their own environment. 5, I think I'm not missing out the numbering. He talked about the fact that the government's response has been, in his view, responsive and constructive. That's the word he used, constructive. Now, you may disagree with him, because there are many Nigerians who think that, the response of the federal government has not been constructive in any manner. 6, when he visited the governor, he expressed concern about fake news. He said people were saying that he already ran away, his son also ran away, but that he didn't run anywhere, and that he had been here because he himself is an activist and he's been on the ground. He's a Jagaban, he's a Ashwaju. Maybe that's what some people interpreted as being cocky. And he thinks that he has been made a scapegoat by his political opponents, and that everyone has lost out of this. But what is important going forward is how to reconstruct the country. I think these are the bigger points that he has made. But people may be emotional, people may be political, and he himself understands that this is all about politics. And I made the point earlier that he talks in one paragraph, in that he says, about lessons that all of us can learn collectively. But I then said, he himself and the political class that he leads, we also hope that they will also learn lessons about their connection with the people and about the true worth and nature of the dominance that they display within the political space.
All right, Rufai, before I come to you, we'll take another story that is trending. The former governor of Lagos State, Babatunde Fashola, has come under intense criticism after he found a camera while on tour at the Lekki tollgate, where peaceful protesters demonstrated for 13 days before they were forcefully dispersed. During the assessment visit of the Lekki tollgate on Sunday by ministers and governors from the southwest, Fashola found the camera and picked it up with a handkerchief. He reportedly handed it over to the governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu. The minister was quoted to have said the camera must have been planted there by some subversive elements, and it will help with the ongoing investigations into the shootings at the Lekki tollgate. Well, let's take 2 reactions real quick. One user, Maurice, wrote, "Fire raged and burnt everything. Soldiers came and left. Governor visited, media visited. Lawma swept the place. They found nothing. Suddenly, in a twinkle of an eye, Inspector Fashola found a camera, even used a cloth to pick it. So, not to tamper with evidence. Inspector Gadget." I don't think we have much time to chat on this.
Well, you apparently didn't give Rufai the opportunity to comment on that.
Yeah, the time has
Anyway, thank you very much,
Sorry
Ojy.
about that. Well, he has had, yes,
Yeah.
hey, we've had a lot.
And that's all on today's edition of The Morning Show.